You're listening to Behind the Bulldogs, brought to you by Ferris State Athletics.
Off the left side, to the end zone! Touchdown, Bulldogs!
If I'm even having like a bad day on the course or something, I just look down at it and just feel like thankful that I'm able to be out there.
Making sure that we're like where our feet are and we're not thinking about outside distractions.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Behind the Bulldogs. Brandon Worth, Tatum Outlaw. We are back again with another banger episode. We went from one dynamic and rhyming duo of Tia and Leah to another on this episode. We got Vallone and Ella from women's soccer joining us in a great interview, and glad to have them on the show. And it's something that's really cool. I've always wanted to know their perspective because they started their careers in a really unique situation, right? A key part of the defense, both starting as freshmen. I mean, that's a really tough task to get into, and they've done a great job with it too.
Yeah, I agree. And they're so composed, so humble, and they're just great girls. So I'm excited to hear what they have to say about it.
Absolutely. It's going to be a great interview. Be sure you guys stick around for that, and be sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any episodes. We'll get right into the good stuff that happened over this past weekend, and especially we're going to talk about Anchorbone first because everyone's talking about that.
We must.
Yeah, it was a dominant win. That's the only word that comes to mind. Just dominated. Offense, defense, special teams, and many people were saying, you know, after last year, like, what does it feel like to win the rivalry game? And it's only been a year, but people were already thinking about that. But I mean, it was a dynamic performance, especially Trinidad Chambliss really had a dynamic game, 3 rushing touchdowns. And especially I feel like he embraced the moment in his composure. The defense played spectacular. The 3 turnovers, especially those interceptions, were key in that game and momentum-wise. Just kept Grand Valley all balanced all night. They weren't comfortable at all, and it just looked like we won that game from the opening kick to the final whistle, just all ours, and that's exactly what we'd love to see.
Yeah, they played hard. I watched the whole game. I was totally tuned in, and they just played their butts off the entire time. Obviously, going into the game, like, these are 2 very good teams. It's probably, like, the greatest matchup of the whole season, and I figured it was going to be close, which obviously both teams played hard, but not only did we win, but we dominated. So that was just so fun to watch.
Absolutely. Great win for Ferris State football. They will be on the road at Northern Michigan, but we'll catch you with the Ferris State Slate here to end the show. Cross country was in town. The GLIAC Championships. Really cool venue. Got a lot of great overall feedback. Glad the community and a lot of the other teams that were in town also came to watch, which was great in the morning. Good overall performances, especially from our teams. I know, especially talking to quite a few of them, wanted a little bit more, but hey, we still got 3 all-conference honorees, Hannah Brock as well as Whitney Farrell on the women's side, and then Cooper Sorensen on the men's side. Really good performances, especially the men's finishing, I believe, in 7th and the women's in 6th. Just really great performances. I know the team standings, this team really wants to do better, but they're going to have another opportunity in regionals. And I know, especially with the postseason, we have the regular season the whole time. You always want to be running at your best, but everybody's checking where you finished in the region. So this will be the big one and a good opportunity to them for really to show who they are and have a good performance here in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, this is the time of year for the fall sports. I mean, they're getting into like the mid to end season where it could be a total like slump for some teams or where you're rising up to the occasion. So it was cool to just see some people like really step up and take some awards home.
Absolutely. Always great to see trophies on the shelf here at Ferris State. We got to need a bigger trophy case here in a couple of years, that's for sure. When it comes to volleyball, I mean, can we talk about something else but a sweep? I mean, we don't want to. It's just so great, and there's not much to talk about. You guys are taking care of business. 6 straight sets on the road and at home. You had to do the quick turnaround in the morning to drive down to Chicago. Seems like you guys really enjoyed that trip outside of the dominant performance, but you also got to see a little bit of the sights around Chicago too. So just a great overall trip.
Yeah, it was a great trip. We'd never played Roosevelt before, and it was a handful of my teammates' first time in Chicago, which I'm from Illinois, so.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but we got off the bus. Obviously, there was some traffic. We walked straight to the Bean, and then like had barely enough time to get ready for our game, but it was still nice to like get some fresh air, be a little touristy for a second. But yeah, it's been a fun weekend.
Absolutely, yeah. It's great to have those trips that turn into, you know, not just the actual event, but the attractions as well, side of the town, so on and so forth. Women's soccer as well. A draw against Davenport 2-0, and then falling to Grand Valley State 2-0. Really good team in Grand Valley State. I mean, that's going to be a regionally ranked team, one of the top ones for sure, almost pretty much guaranteed now, unless something happens injury-wise, personnel. But the team's playing really hard. That is not the question at all. It is whatever the luck is that draws the ball away from the net is the problem, and we need to figure that out. It's Halloween as you're probably listening to this here over on YouTube. So once it's over, maybe we can cast the witch's spells away or something from the nets and we can figure it out. We'll have some really good opportunities. But, I mean, the team's effort is never a question. And that's very apparent. When we talk to a lot of players, they're playing hard. They're really doing their best. Just not able to execute on some of those small things that keep you away from the victory column.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself. Those girls are playing hard, and I think with like GLIACs coming up and hopefully regionals for them, I think they're gonna step up, and I think that they'll perform well when they're needed to. So
absolutely, we hope so. And hockey as well, getting a split on the weekend, beating Bemidji State, the Beavers, 4-2 on the opening night, and then fall 3-0 on the Saturday night game in the second part of the doubleheader. For hockey especially, I mean, the team is showing a lot of great glimpses. It's just the fact that we can't control the ability to sweep over a weekend has been the toughest part, and that's really been the toughest part for the last couple of years, because this team can show year in and year out, they can beat the best, they can compete with the best, but just trying to put it over into 2 games on the weekend, that's really what they're missing. Otherwise, they'd be a top-ranked group.
Yeah, that's a difficult task to do. You know, they say the hardest thing to beat is success. So it's difficult, but I know their time is coming.
Yes, for sure. We can't wait to wish them the best of luck as well. They'll be back home on the 8th and the 9th. And we also have basketball to talk about. We got basketball to talk about. Yeah, men's basketball at the Breslin Center at Michigan State.
Their annual.
Yeah, the annual. Play the Big Ten team, and we'll see what happens. Yeah. And I'll tell you what happened. They played them well. Played them well. It was within 17 in the final score, but what they won't tell you is that we were within 5 points of the Spartans in the second half, in the early parts in the second half. We were playing with Michigan State, and a lot of talk with the coaches. Our coaches were they weren't necessarily fully pleased. There were a lot of turnovers, those little things that you can take care of. But they were pretty pleased overall at the effort and the potential that this team showed. Michigan State was more disappointed by far from how that team is put on paper to what they perform with. So great effort by the Bulldogs. We can't wait. They're going to be tipping off. They're actually en route to Texas, like right now as we're speaking. And they're going to Texas to open the season. So different group this year. We obviously lost a lot of the shooting that we had last year, but this team's athleticism just jumped to the roof, literally and figuratively.
Yeah, very different group. I think we also are going to see some fresh faces out there, including some of the freshmen that have been getting some playing time, some people that have been injured. And like you said, for their Michigan State game, now it's time of year to make some mistakes. You learn from it. And I think at the end, they'll look back and glad that they learned from those mistakes so early on.
Absolutely. And it is good to see them playing on the big stage and playing well. And, and that's something that we look forward to. Assuming we can go on another postseason run, which, cross your fingers, we hope to do so. Obviously, we got a lot more to cover for this upcoming weekend and the next weekend, but we'll catch that at the end of the show. But first, we're going to waste no more time. Bella and Ella are waiting for us, and great interview. The folks are certainly going to love them.
The rhyming dynamic defensive duo.
Number 2 in a row. So without further ado, we'll send you to the interview with Bella Vallone and Ella Wolf. Now joining us here in studio for an exclusive interview, we got a pair of Ferris State soccer players joining us, Ella Wolf and Bella Vallone. Ladies, welcome to the show.
Hi.
It's great to have you. And obviously, coming off a game against Grand Valley State, I know you guys would love to have a different outcome in that game. But just talk about where you guys are at in the season right now, especially how the team's gelling and some things you're looking forward to here, kind of in the second half of the season, as it's coming up really fast.
So basically, obviously, like you said, we'd like to have a better result against Grand Valley, but we're reaching that point in the season, late in the season, so we have a lot of players just dealing with injuries or just fatigue and stuff like that, so we're making sure that we're getting in to see our athletic trainers, making sure that everyone stays healthy, and just moving forward with our game plan to try and end the season on a high note and hopefully make it pretty far in the GLIAC tournament.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think it's the time of the season now where we start focusing on the playoffs and we start trying to play in the way that we would in those games. So I think Grand Valley was the first game that we really felt that playoff mentality where we just kept going at them, even if the score wasn't what we wanted at the moment. It was we didn't stop and we kept going at them the whole game.
Absolutely. And your guys' team motto is a very unique one, right? The right to play in bad weather. Now, for both of you, do you like playing in the cold weather? Is that something that you guys really thrive? No, I'm just kidding. When it comes to the actual weather, do you guys prefer to play in the cold weather? Or are you if it's warmer, almost summertime, early fall temperatures, that's my jam?
Honestly, I would say that low 60s, overcast, low breeze. That's where I strive. Like, that's where I love to be. But like, I don't mind playing in the cold. I think it's better than, I personally don't like playing in the hot weather. So I like playing in the cold more than everybody else. I mean, freshman year, when we were in Bemidji, it was negative 13 degrees with wind chill and like craziness. And we were in shorts. So like,
How? What? That's crazy.
we are covered in Vaseline to insulate heat. But like some people wear like, you can wear leggings. Like obviously we had like Under Armours and all the fun stuff on. But like we were in shorts, like
heating pads in our
heating
shoes,
pads in the shoes and the
gloves.
hands. We had it all.
Yeah, Tiger Balm, whatever it may be, just to stay warm. I think that's just crazy.
I can't imagine as an indoor sport person.
Yeah.
I would be in shambles.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Bella, your perspective, warm or cold weather?
I definitely like the warmer, like she said, mid 50s, maybe some sun, but sometimes it's fun to play in the cold. Like it's so bad that it's just so funny. Like it'll be hailing and we're like kicking a ball around. Like that's just funny to me. Like out of all the places we could be, we're just outside doing what we like to do. So it's always fun to me.
Mid 50s being warmer is crazy. You Michiganders are weird.
But wait. Ella's not a Michigander.
You're not a Michigander.
Yeah.
Indian.
Tell us where you're from.
I'm from Indiana, so it's about 5 hours south of here, northeast side of Indianapolis.
Cool.
But honestly, the weather here is pretty much the same temperature-wise as in Indy, except we don't get snow. So at least up here, there's snow. When there's cold, there's snow, which I appreciate because it's kind of dreary when it's just freezing cold and then it's just gray. It's gross.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. When it comes to choosing Ferris State, you obviously probably had choices closer to home. What brought you up here to Big Rapids?
Definitely wanted to be close to home, but still far enough away where I had that kind of separation. And so Ferris was a good enough distance that like my parents, it's a drive, it's not a flight. And like they could come up and it's just far enough out of that barrier where it's like, okay, like I can't go home all the weekend.
Yeah.
But like if I really needed to go home, it's possible. So I feel like that was a good thing for me. And then like most of my family is actually located in northern Indiana. So it's a lot closer for them than my parents. So it's about 5 hours for my parents and it's about like 2.5 to 3 for them. So it's kind of a nice like distance, closer to some family, farther from others.
Nice. Bella, for you, obviously a little bit closer, right, as from Sparta. But I know one part about this, and this was something that was actually very ironic from a couple years ago because I wrote a story about you and your ability to kick a football, let alone a soccer ball. Just tell us about that experience as well, playing football, and now you get to play at Ferris State as well in soccer. Just that unique little perspective.
Yeah, that was a crazy time in my life. I mean, I was best friends with the football coach's daughter, and I grew up with her and him. And just one day he came to me, he was like, hey, like, I know you play soccer, we need a kicker. Like, will you come to practice tomorrow? I was like, yeah, sure. Like, you're funny. I woke up the next morning and he's like blowing my phone up. He's like, where are you? Because I said, yeah, jokingly. And he's like, no, you need to get here right now. Like, we need to see if you can actually do this. And so I did. And so my junior and senior year, I kicked for Sparta. And it was just a fun time. Yeah.
That's so cool. So you said it as a joke, but then coach was like, let's go. Like,
oh, yeah.
This was serious from the get-go. That's crazy. But rewind a little bit back to, I believe I have it here on my phone, August 25th, 2023. This would have been both your very first collegiate soccer games. And for both of you, both playing at center back position, which is very unique that you guys both start at the same time at the same position. And you're making your first start against a really good regionally ranked opponent on the road against Maryville. Just talk about that experience in your first game, especially for both of you, right? You've obviously been together, been in practice, but it's your first game together and you're starting off against a good opponent for a team that, you know, is eventually going to be Final Four bound later on in the year.
That game was miserable.
The truth comes out.
And like, just in the sense of weather, it was in St. Louis. It had to have been 95 degrees.
Yeah, it was hot.
It was really bad. Like, and I'm not prepared for that. I don't think anyone was. I mean, we have 2 girls from California and they were struggling.
Yeah.
Like, it was bad. So in the weather sense, it was rough.
Yeah. Sounds like it.
Yes. But I mean, honestly, like, I feel like a lot of the nerves that come with everything, because I feel like, at least for me, I was very nervous because, I mean, like you said, going against someone very high regionally ranked, like a difficult opponent. But we kind of got thrown into the fire a little bit. So we didn't really have time for that, like in the game. So he's just like, all right, go. And we're like, oh, okay. So like, you didn't really have time to like be nervous about it. You're just like, all right, I have to go play soccer now. And especially like coming into those roles that like there was a very, very good class before us. Like starters forever, captains for forever, like very strong back line. So filling those holes was definitely something that was going to be very difficult to do. But I mean, at the end of the day, like you're recruited for a reason and like you're not going to be someone else. So like and Greg says it all the time, like when we make subs and everything, he's like, I want you to go on the field and be you. Like if I'm subbing in for Bella, he's like, I'm not putting you in to go be Bella, putting you in to go be you. So like in that sense, I was like, okay, well, I guess he wants whatever Bella and I got to be on the field right now.
It's going to happen. Oh, that's too cool. Bella, your perspective from that first game.
Yeah, it was definitely nerve-wracking, especially just playing alongside players that like I haven't played with my whole life. It was a little different because me and Lindsay Cole used to play on the same club team, so I did feel a little bit of like I knew how she played. We played well together. We've played together for almost our whole lives of club soccer, so her being out there was kind of refreshing and just like a good, like it was good to just be able to have someone out there that I knew and just help me lead through the first game and like calm my nerves and stuff like that.
Yeah, bouncing off of that, I know you guys have been working a lot on like team chemistry and culture. Tell me about that and how that helped you guys conquer your first game, because I'm sure that was a lot.
Yeah.
So every year it's definitely difficult because in the spring, we try to build up the culture enough and then we try to absorb the freshman class in, because it's hard to start a culture from scratch when you have new players who you don't know any better. They don't know any better. They're just walking into something. And we want to make sure that that's a positive environment. So I feel like our team culture from last year has skyrocketed in a positive direction. And it's been so much better. We have really good leadership this year in regard to like making sure that like class has no meaning, like experience has no meaning, like we all play on the same team. So like whether you're a freshman, whether you're a senior, like everyone is equal. Like we're just trying to make everything work. So I feel like that mindset was very beneficial because it kind of got rid of seniority and stuff like that may have caused some issues in the past, but like just making sure that everyone on the field felt like we were all equal with each other, and those that had experience can help those who haven't kind of step into those shoes, because it's a difficult transition. So this year was definitely a great step in the right direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like we went through this book with our team in the spring. It was a book study called The Twin Thieves.
I love that one.
Oh,
Yes.
we've heard that book floating around
I've read
somewhere.
it a time or 2 or 3.
Yeah, and that was like at first, Greg was handing us out this book, and we're like, what are we supposed to do with this? Like, here's another homework assignment.
Here to have it back.
Yeah.
Really? More reading?
But I think the whole team thought the same way once we started diving into the book and like reading each week, that it was beneficial. And we fixed a lot of those problems that we did have maybe last fall to the spring. And then we were able to absorb the freshmen, and like we went over the book with them this fall to make sure that they are on the same page just with everything. And yeah, I think it was really good for our team.
For sure. I definitely think team culture helps a lot. And I'm glad you guys are benefiting. Shifting gears a little bit, going back to, how you played football. Have you guys played any other sports? What led you to soccer? Why did you pick soccer?
So my dad played soccer for pretty much his whole life. He ended up playing in college, just on like on a club level, but he ended up getting hurt, and then he kind of pivoted. And when I was born, he was like, yep, she's playing soccer. And so he was like one of my first coaches, and he kind of put me in everything. My mom was a gymnast, so I also did the other side of it for a while.
Oh, okay.
And I reached about I want to say 4th grade. And that's when gym times for gymnastics were getting crazy long.
Yes.
And
I was a child gymnast as well, and so was my mom, so I get it.
in 4th or 5th grade, they were okay, now you have 5-hour gym days. I'm like, excuse me?
Huh? What?
I'm I am in elementary school. So, and the risk of getting hurt was greater at that time. So I was my parents were all right, you have to choose one. I was like, oh, great. Let me just choose between my parents. Let me either pick my mom or my dad here.
Right.
But my dad, being my dad, he was like, well, you can't go anywhere with gymnastics. He's like, you can go somewhere with soccer. All right.
There you go. There you have it. All right, Bella, for you.
I kind of played everything growing up. I played basketball my whole life. I played soccer my whole life. And then obviously football a couple years in there. I did volleyball. I ran track.
Wow.
I really just tried to do whatever I could. Obviously soccer was always my number one, and everything kind of went around that. And all my coaches always knew that. They knew soccer was my number one. Everything else was kind of just fun. I viewed those as a relief. When I went to basketball, it was more to have fun. When I went to soccer, it was okay, this is what I want to do in the future. Let's be serious.
Let's focus up.
Pretty much. But yeah, I enjoyed all of it. I think it kind of set me up well for college too. That schedule, I was always going from one practice to the other. And so I got here and it was one practice a day and just class. And it kind of felt a little lighter almost. It was weird.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it was fun.
Was there a sport that you didn't play?
There was a lot of sports I didn't play. I didn't wrestle.
Okay. How about is there a sport that you didn't play that you wish you could have?
Not that I can think of. I probably would have tried anything if I was able to. Sparta didn't really have a lot of crazy sports. I know all my friends played rugby, and that's something I always wanted to play.
Oh, yeah. Personally, if we would have had lacrosse back in my high school, I would have been yeah, I could dabble with lacrosse. Yeah. Okay. All right. How about you?
We had a bunch of different sports at my high school. I don't know. I played a little tennis in the summer.
Okay.
And I do enjoy tennis. I'm a big I like pickleball.
Oh, yes.
A little competitive pickleballer.
Yes.
So I'm I do that now that pickleball has become a big thing. I'm I used to play tennis a little bit, so I'm oh, okay, this is fun. I know how to do this.
Yep.
I say this I played one season of tennis, and I'm no, I'm really good at pickleball. Not at all.
Absolutely. Coach Doran, got another recruit on the too.
God.
Tatum, we'll throw this over to you. Any other sport that you wish you would have tried besides volleyball?
No. I really
One sport love. That's all it is.
I really like volleyball. I did tennis. I did gymnastics. I guess trampoline and tumbling from when I was 5 till I was 15. So yeah, I did basketball, hated it. I don't like being touched. So I don't really like contact sports, but I think maybe track and field. I feel I'd be really good at. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wish I could try that. I feel I'm fast and I can jump really high. And with my gymnastics history, I think that would have maybe been cool. But
there you go. All right.
Guess we'll never know.
We'll never know. Really casual question. What was your favorite thing, or is your favorite thing, I guess, still, that's your favorite pastime, favorite hobby off the field? You got some time away from classes, on the weekend. What's something that you enjoy doing?
I would say right now I'm really into climbing. I spent a lot of time this summer climbing.
She is really cool.
Yeah.
She is really cool. I see her Instagram and I'm oh, I'm going to be her.
It.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
blush.
Fangirling.
Yeah, real rock climbing too. Not just casual we'll go over to the rack and climb some of
that's
those.
what I got to do right now, I guess.
Right.
Just to keep it going. But no, this summer I did a lot of bouldering, and that's without the harness, and I'd go with my friends and my roommate I have right now. And yeah, I've been really into that. I like being outside, hikes and stuff like that.
There you go. Very
Yeah.
cool. Ella.
I'll agree. I like hiking. I found a couple places around here just for it's casual hiking. Nothing too crazy.
Yeah.
But it's nice to be outside because I feel like most of the time, at least for me, when I'm outside, I'm at practice. So I'm not really enjoying outside of
Job to
practice.
do. Job to do.
Exactly. So I'm it's nice, sometimes on the weekends with the weather's nice, can I go on one of those trails? Can I just go on a walk outside? It's always really nice just kind of reconnect with nature after being cooped up at a desk doing homework.
You and nature forgive each other.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, ladies, thank you so much for coming on the show. One last question for you. What's your favorite thing about being here at Ferris State and being a Bulldog?
I think.
Yeah, let me think of a good
That's
answer.
it. Thanks.
That's it. Great.
Nothing.
For me, I just love the community aspect of it. I have a lot of friends outside of soccer. I have a lot of great friends in soccer, and I just love both sides of it. I love being able to go home. I just love the community here at Ferris. It's really supportive, especially the sports side. Everybody supports everyone, and I just really appreciate that and like that about Ferris.
For sure.
I would have to agree. I really like the aspect, especially of the sports supporting other sports. I like going to other sporting events. Football games is the obvious one, but I like going to the volleyball games, and I like just being around everybody, and everybody knows, all the athletes know what each other's going through to an extent. So it's we all know what each other is going through. We all know our crazy schedules, and being able to find the time to be okay, oh, there's a volleyball game tonight at home. Let me just pop over there. Even if I don't stay there the whole time, I'm it's still nice to go watch something else besides, we don't have a men's team, so we wouldn't watch men's soccer, but besides watching our own film, watching another sport is always really fun.
We appreciate the support too. I love when you guys come. You guys are such a big presence.
Yeah, the support is great. But ladies, thank you so much for joining us, and we wish you the best of luck upcoming here in your next contest.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Sweet. Big thanks to Bella and Ella for joining us here on the show. Really great interview, Tatum, and there was a lot of fun parts about it. What was probably your favorite part?
I think learning about Bella playing football.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought that was so cool. And she's so humble about it. She really did wonders for her team at the time.
Absolutely, yeah. It's super fun. And I was especially curious on, for a lot of the out-of-staters, we like to bring them on the show. Why'd you come to Ferris? Just seeing that really that personable side of the players too. And that, that's the goal of our whole show.
Yes.
That's the goal of our whole show. We'll leave you with the schedule and the Ferris State Sports Slate before you go. We got a lot of contests here this weekend, so bear with us. Ferris State women's soccer, the ladies will be on the road at Saginaw, take on the Cardinals. That's a 1 o'clock kickoff there on Friday. Women's volleyball, you guys will be right here down the hall, Temple Lug Arena against Wayne State. That's a 6 o'clock game. Hockey will be on the road at Bowling Green, so they'll take on the Falcons there at 7:07. And the men's basketball tips off the season at West Texas A&M. That is down there at the tip-off tourney. That's a 7:30 tip-off there. And I believe you can catch all the coverage, Sunny 97.3 over there on the Bulldog Sports Network. Saturday football is on the road at Marquette, taking on the Wildcats of Northern Michigan. That's a 1 o'clock kick. Women's basketball, the tip-off classic. They're back to St. Joe's, just where they left the season off last year, to take on a familiar team, the Gorillas of Pittsburgh State. How does it we always play Pittsburgh State in any sport?
I know. They
so
just
weird.
Love us. Can't get enough of us.
It's like we're both really good athletic programs and we want to play each other.
It's almost like it's a really great matchup.
I think so. Yeah. Absolutely. Women's volleyball. Well, speaking of good matchups, 3 o'clock, you should be here. Grand Valley's in town, and it's going to be a big, big game. So be here. Bulldog Arena, 3 o'clock, the Lakers and the Bulldogs. Bowling Green, ice hockey for Ferris State, 7:07 there on Saturday. And then men's basketball, 7:30, will be tipping off there from Texas against UNC Pembroke in that second game there on Saturday. And then we also got action for you coming up here on Sunday. Women's soccer is home, y'all. They're going to be home. So you can check them out on Sunday, 1 o'clock against the Roosevelt Lakers. And then women's basketball will be taking on Central Missouri. They're from St. Joseph's, Missouri. That's a 2:30 opening tip-off. And then we won't have action for you until the following Thursday when women's soccer is back at it again. So there's your Ferris State Sports Slate. A lot of great things on the weekend as far as teams on the road starting their seasons. We're almost getting to that point now. Not necessarily with just the weather, but winter sports are going to start
Yeah.
real soon, which is scary to think about because fall's not even done yet.
Yeah, I was gonna say, show your support and love because the fall sports are wrapping up and their games are getting really competitive. So show support there, and then the winter sports are starting up with some competitive games as well.
Absolutely. No bias to what game you should be at, but 3
Yeah, all
o'clock
of them.
Saturday over
But
here.
prioritize 3:00 Saturday.
Yeah, I think that's the goal. So we'll see you then, and we'll see you next week with another episode of Behind the Bulldogs here. We'll see you later, everybody.